stretch now. Debues-Stafford's going to challenge and take the lead. What a surge by Debues-Stafford. She's going to shatter the Canadian record by more than 10 seconds. Remaining. So back on to the track we go. The New Balance women's 3,000 meters, the longest distance for the women on the track today. You see the world lead and the meet record, and as usually is the case, a very United Nations kind of field for New York as you see the start list. But the American Josette Norris performing already very well in 2022.
Yeah, kicked off the season hot, and she's just building momentum, coming off a great 2021 where she missed the Olympic team but rebounded really well with some great Diamond League finishes and a lot of really big PRs.
Norris, 26 years of age, competed collegiately at Georgetown and was the Wanamaker mile runner-up to Ellie Purrier St. Pierre. Women's 3,000 meters. 15 laps of the track. Have some assistance by the pace setters. Been very competitive races today. It speaks to the depth that we see not only in the U.S. but abroad.
Yeah, great matchups. I mean, I think that's what you want to see out here is people going head-to-head. You want fast times, but it's usually a product of really good racing. And so that's hats off to the organizers for putting together some really solid competitive fields.
So two pacers in front, Esther Guerrero of Spain and Katrina Coogan. And then behind them in third, Gabriela Debues-Stafford, two-time Olympian for Team Canada at 1,500 meters and finished fifth in Tokyo in that event. Josette Norris now in fifth. Ahead of her, Mekides Abebe. This is an intriguing entry into this field. First time ever we've seen the Ethiopian run this distance, but a very talented 3,000-meter steeplechaser outdoors, as she was fourth just off the podium in Tokyo as a 20-year-old.
Yeah, this will be interesting and quite fun. I think she looks hungry already just going around Debues-Stafford. It's interesting because there's not a lot of reasons to truly race right now. It's just they're all finding their space. They're tucked in a nice long line and following the pacers. But she saw a little gap opening up and said, I don't want any space being created, and filled it right in. So that's the sort of stuff when you're new to indoor, you might race before you necessarily need to, and it's just energy sapping late.
So 12 laps to run. Guerrero, who we saw win a race earlier in the day, is out there in front. Coogan pacing in second. Then back to Abebe, who's now going to go right past Coogan. So the pace setters, have been challenged today. They've been getting asked to get out of the way several times.
Everyone knows this track is fast. Hey, if you're going to be out front, do what I want because I want to run fast. And they've scheduled everything pretty quick, but we've seen records fall, PBs set. I think it just creates excitement and anxiety for when you get out there and you get your chance. I'm sure there's a ton of people sitting at home who would love to be racing. A little bit of FOMO for the people who didn't get into the meet or didn't make it out this year.
So Guerrero, Abebe, Coogan, and Debues-Stafford in fourth, and back to Josette Norris. Katie Izzo of the U.S. behind her in sixth. Izzo, SEC cross-country champion 3 years ago while at Arkansas.
You see the three big players there kind of sitting behind Guerrero. I think these are kind of the people who are going to make the race, and Abebe is interesting because we don't know what she's capable in this flat race and how she's going to respond to the indoor track, but we do know Debues-Stafford has great speed. She ran 8:38 last year in her opener outdoor, and obviously Norris looked great in the mile last weekend and has great 5K 1,500 meter range. So she's always a threat, and she's going to sit right in there and do as little work as possible until she needs to really get rolling.
So we saw Katrina Coogan step off the track at the top of the back straight. Now Guerrero does the same. So Abebe will now drive the race here from the front. And behind her, Josette Norris and the Canadian Gabriela Debues-Stafford. Debues-Stafford, legendary range as a Canadian, has 6 Canadian national records in events from 1,500 meters to 5,000, part of the Bowerman Track Club. And when you see a singlet on the track of the indoor season, it's a pretty rare occurrence for the Bowerman Track Club, and usually they're here because they're ready to run fast.
That's right. It's her season opener, and you almost don't even want to mention it because it doesn't matter. Jerry Schumacher, her coach, is not sending her out here to have a fun time and, buy souvenirs at the gift shop. She's here to contend. She's here to run fast, and that's what we expect when we see Bowerman athletes on the track. And it's no surprise at all to see her in this group of 3 and pulling away from the pack.
Yeah, now down definitely to a trio here in the leadership pack of Abebe, Norris, and Debues-Stafford. And then back to Amy-Eloise Markovc. But the gap is widening with every stride as they now come to the line with 7 laps to go.
Abebe looks very comfortable. I mean, I know she's used to the steeple and having those challenges in the way, and maybe that's made it a little bit easier out here. Just flat running, let me put my foot on the gas, and I don't have to worry about the fatigue of managing a barrier. But she looks relaxed on the banked track, and out front she just seems like she wants to be the aggressor, and I think she's going to want to dial this down lap by lap and gain confidence by seeing people sort of shoot off the back.
Like you said, no stranger to the 3,000 meter distance outdoors with the barriers and the water jump in that steeplechase. She's the Ethiopian national record holder in that event, set that mark last year. Going back, she's already been on the world stage, competing in the World Championships as a finalist in her outdoor event as an 18-year-old, now 21 years of age, leads the field here with Josette Norris and Debues-Stafford second and third, and then well back to the rest of the field.
Well, if this all goes sideways, Paul, we can just say she's inexperienced because she's only 21.
Yep.
I think she looks just fine, but you never know. She might just end up being set up as a glorified pacer and pulling Debues-Stafford and Norris. Hopefully they get into those late laps attached and say, hey, great, thanks for the free pacing. We'll see you later.
That's her very first indoor race at this distance for Abebe. And Norris coming off that strong performance last weekend at the Armory in New York, coming the 3rd fastest American woman in indoor history in the indoor mile. Abebe now maybe with an extra stride of gap between Norris and Debues-Stafford.
She took a little peek there. I think she feels that separation. She wanted to confirm it. If she feels like she's got a lot of running left in her legs, she's going to want to drive this thing from far out. Again, it's the field, but when you're on the front and you start getting that gap going, you go, well, what does the clock say? Let's see what we can do there too.
Well, speaking to just the quality of the field at the start and now seeing the separation from this trio really speaks to the performance here. Now a move by Debues-Stafford into second. She surges past Norris with some authority and closes the gap on the leader Abebe with 3 laps to go.
That's a great move by Debues-Stafford. She can't sit back and wait for Norris to do the work. Once that gap opens, it gets hard to make up the difference there, and then you just confidence, it gets in your head when you see that little chunk of space between you and you see it getting away. So good decision. It also helps Norris. It fills that spot. She goes, okay, I can tuck on Debues-Stafford and then use her ideally to catch up to Abebe when the opportunity presents itself.
Canadian national record in this event is 8:46.50, set by Jessica O'Connell back in 2019 in New York. Could be in jeopardy here. Debues-Stafford behind Abebe. Norris trying to stay in the mix.
A little bit of fatigue likely in Norris's legs. She ran that great mile last weekend. You're excited. You want to just use that momentum, but coming back to back is a tough thing to do. She's also looking at the indoor world championships. She said that's a priority for her. So, getting through the rounds is going to be important, and she's testing herself here.
Well, she's trying to find what's left in the tank. She tried to make a surge, but it was covered by both Abebe and Debues-Stafford. As they head to the backstretch now, Debues-Stafford's going to challenge and take the lead.
This is experience showing right here. This is what she does. 800-meter speed, 1,500-meter speed, championship racer. It's all coming out right now.
What a surge by Debues-Stafford. She's going to shatter the Canadian record by more than 10 seconds.
So calculated. She just waited, bided her time, followed the pacers, followed the unofficial pacers, and it gave her so much room to kick late. And when she went, she went.
So Norris kind of initiates this by making a push on Debues-Stafford. Debues-Stafford reacts, and timing is everything indoors.
You want to make one move and you want to make it stick. She waited, waited, waited. She knew she had more left in her legs than anyone, and now was the time to go before that turn, so she didn't have to do any extra work. You come around me. But no one's there.
And just like you teach in road racing, when you go by someone, go by somebody with some authority and break them. And man, did she break that field. Third fastest time in the world this year, and a new Canadian national record for Gabriela Debues-Stafford. 8:33.92. A great run for the Canadian. Closing in on the final racing here in Staten Island. Don't go away.